Hi, Sugar Freedom fans, it's Catherine. Little shift. How to stop using sugar. That is the whole purpose of the Sugar Freedom channel. So subscribe if you want to learn more about how to stop using sugar. So there's two ways to stop using sugar: eat something else and do something else. And I'm saying using sugar because I use sugar as a pain reliever and I use sugar as a distraction. So I want to stop using sugar for things that sugar is not intended for. When I'm talking about sugar, I'm also talking about glucose, because all of the carbohydrates break down in some way, shape, or form into glucose. Now, of course, the brain needs glucose, we know that, but we can make glucose in the liver through gluconeogenesis. But the most important thing about these videos in this series is how to stop using sugar to get yourself through the day and to stop using it for things that aren't really for nutrition and to enhance your life. So first of all, eat something else. Second, do something else. We're going to cover the eat something else first, and that's what sugar freedom is all about. So there's really three levels of sugar freedom. The beginner level, which is a maximum of 60 grams of carbohydrates a day, which will allow you 2 pieces of fruit, 2 salads, and 2 vegetables. So lots of healthy, natural, whole carbohydrates on that sugar freedom level 1, a maximum of 60 grams of carbohydrates a day. Level 2 is ketogenic. So you're not going to be eating fruit, but you're going to be getting 2 salads and 2 servings of a vegetable a day. And then finally, there's another level, which is my most serious level, which I use sometimes, which is just 10 grams a day, which was originally developed by Jocelyn for diabetics before insulin was available. So this is actually a diet plan that's been around since 1915, and it's very, very, very low in carbohydrates. But mostly I'm usually right around 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. And for me, that means having lots of good different recipes for your proteins and your fats. So today I'm actually going to be sharing some cooking tips today on making Cornish game hens in your Emeril's Power Air Fryer 360 or any oven or air fryer that you might have. One of the things about doing a sugar-free diet, going low sugar or ketogenic, or even all the way to carnivore, is finding the meats that are going to work for you and that you can cook easily and economically too. One of the things that I discovered was back during the beginning of the pandemic, when people were kind of like making a run on the grocery stores, what was available was a lot of Cornish hens were available in the freezer section. So I bought quite a few of them and didn't have a lot of luck with them at first. I made them in the oven and they ended up undercooked. So very, very bad. An undercooked Cornish game hen is no good. However, in the Power 360, in the air fryer, I've found really consistently delicious and perfectly cooked Cornish game hens. So I'm going to give you some tips on that today. A couple of things though on how to stop using sugar. If you're going to get off of sugar, if you've been eating more than 100 grams of carbohydrates a day, if you're suffering from, I believe that I suffer from sugar addiction, one of the things that you can do is start your day with a morning tonic, tablespoon of Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and then lately you can use lemon juice, but lately I've been using vitamin C crystals, just the powder. Just a 1/4 teaspoon of these is 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. You can start with even less. Sometimes vitamin C, pure vitamin C, can have a laxative effect, so you need to be aware of that. But I'm just putting about 1/4 teaspoon and a tablespoon of Bragg's in some water, adding a little bit of liquid stevia to take some of the sourness off. It's very sour, and enough water, and drinking that down. I have found that helps with the sugar cravings. It also helps with good digestion, and it helps with that hunger that comes on in the afternoon. The other item that is very, very important if you're getting off of sugar is to have something to replace your sodium. Anti-sugar diets tend to be very diuretic. You're going to have some water flushing. Really important to replace your sodium and your electrolytes. This is my favorite. This is the Simple Girl Dry Bouillon Base. You can get this at Amazon.com. This is also going to save you a lot of time and effort. You can just put like a 1/2 teaspoon of this in water and drink it, and that'll replenish your sodium. Also, you can season all of your meats and your vegetables with this wonderful seasoning. It's got no sugar in it. It has, no weird oils or anything like that. Just wonderful seasonings that are going to make your food taste good fast, so that because you're going to be doing more cooking at home and you want it to be quick, you want it to be convenient, and you want to be eager to get into the kitchen and cook. So if you're making some chicken thighs or you're making a roasted vegetable, you can just shake this on, get it in the oven, and know that it's going to taste good. And of course, I use this seasoning in the foods that I cook for my husband and my son, who don't have any kind of problem with sugar. They can pretty much eat whatever they want, but they still like the foods that are prepared with this. Let's move on. Oh, wait, a couple of things. What are you gonna have instead of sugar? I use liquid stevia. I love the English toffee flavor for my coffee and the lemon flavor for my tonic and iced tea and refreshing drinks that I have. I have also had some good luck with monk fruit, and I've also had pretty good luck with organic stevia blends. So those are just a couple of ways that you can have some sweetness in your life. You may not want to have any sweetness at all, but I do still use stevia in my coffee. All right, let's go on to tips for using the Emerald Lagasse Power 360 rotisserie cooker to make Cornish game hens. One of the things I do is I do these live videos and then I edit them and add some more things to do a permanent video to put in my cooking section. There are lots of recipes in my keto cooking section of this channel, so you can check those out. So what am I going to do? I'm actually going to kind of work backwards. They're already done. They're already cooked. I followed the recipe that's in the booklet for a rotisserie chicken, but I just took it back about 5 minutes. So instead of 55 minutes, it's gone in there for 50. So rotisserie setting, 350 degrees for 50 minutes, 2 Cornish game hens. All right, I'm gonna grab a platter very quickly. Oh, this is live, but I got a platter right here. I'm meant to get it out for you. This is why we have to edit. Okay. I knew there was something missing. One of the most important things, one thing that was kind of a challenge when I first got my air fryer and I made these for the first time, was getting the rotisserie in. When you put the rotisserie bar in, there's a notch with like a square that you have to put one end in the square, and then you rest the other end on the rest. So it's like this. All right, so on this side, so as you're looking at the rotisserie, it's gonna be on the left, is you have to thread the rotisserie into the square, and then on this side is the rest. Notice that I've got my UV gloves. I wish they were new. They've been washed a few times. They're a little bit old looking. I have these on to protect my hands as I reach into the rotisserie oven. It's cooled down a bit. They ended about 10 minutes ago, so it's not quite as super hot, but be very careful as you're taking things out of the rotisserie oven. All right, here we go. And lifting and pulling. Lifting on the right, pulling out on the left, and putting it on the platter. And now you can see what a lovely golden color this has. One of the reasons that this has this lovely color is because of the way I seasoned it. So on the outside is salt, onion powder, and paprika. I used smoked paprika, or you could use simply paprika on its own, but it really helps to give it that beautiful golden color and then a really nice flavor too. The other thing that I did is I used some herbs from my garden and I placed them inside the Cornish hens and crushed garlic inside the Cornish hens. Why is that important? If you're putting all of your seasoning, if you're putting your herbs on the outside, remember this is a rotisserie. Sometimes the herbs and seasonings can fall off, so I'm just gonna put those inside the hens so they stay inside while the rotisserie moves. The other thing that's very, very important is that I have trussed these. So I've used some twine, tied the legs, and then wrapped it around the wings so that they're not moving and flopping about when I cook them. That's very important. Another tip that's very important is just making sure that you have your drip tray in position. Any fat that falls on the heating element under there could make it smoke and some smoke could come out of the oven. Another important tip is that sometimes a little bit of steam and smoking, you want to pull it out from under your cupboards, pull it forward on the counter so that that isn't steaming up into your cupboards. And then of course it cleans up really easily afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'm going to show you the lovely herbs that I use to season it with. In the garden in California right now, really, really easy to grow rosemary and thyme, and also we have a sage bush out there just growing really beautifully. So I'm going to cut that in half, probably about that much, and it's going to go right into the cavity of the Cornish game hen. And then also a sprig of thyme is going to go right into the cavity of the game hen, and then one leaf of sage. And then I'm going to, for each game hen, I'm going to crush a large clove of garlic, and also it's going to go inside in the cavity. And the beauty of that is that as the rotisserie chicken turns, it's not going to fall off. It's going to stay inside and make that wonderful aromatic herbs inside that rotisserie chicken. And then finally, don't forget salt and pepper, onion powder, and then the paprika. I use smoked paprika. You can use plain paprika to give it that wonderful color and get some crispness. And then just a couple of other tips. I like to take the Cornish game hens out, take them out of the package, make sure they're fully thawed, and then go ahead and make sure they're drained out, and then let them sit on a cutting board. I use these, let me show you, they're right here. All right. So I use these boards, and I use the red one and the pink one for anything that's meat, and I can go ahead and set them on one of these and then put some paper towel on it, and it'll drain just a little bit, making sure that any raw juices get into the sink or into the trash, being careful, because then when you've got it, when your Cornish game hen isn't damp when it's going into the rotisserie chicken, when it isn't damp, when it goes in the rotisserie, you've got a better chance of getting that lovely crisp skin. And really reliable. I love the Emerald 360 rotisserie because you reliably get the crisp skin, tender juicy meat, and then also fully cooked all the way through, because as I mentioned at the top of this recipe, one of the worst things when you're making Cornish game hens is to end up with a Cornish game hen that isn't cooked all the way through into the, into the thigh, into the bones, and you get that little bit of redness in there, which is just, to me, not appealing, not appetizing. You want a reliable hen that's going to be fully cooked but still tender and juicy with that lovely skin. So that is the recipe for today, and I will post in the notes, I'll post everything for the recipe. And come back for more recipes and more ideas on how to get off of sugar and stay off of sugar, and just eat for yourself, be well, and have a wonderful day. And I'll see you back here soon in the Sugar Freedom Kitchen. Bye-bye, everybody.